Well, we're here with Larry Bobka in the studio. Wanted to move into putters here now, Larry. So specifically, I know there's this craze and this interest on
We don't
zero
want to talk
torque.
about zero torque at all, do
Well,
we?
I'm going to bring it up, but you can talk about it as much as you want. But before we get into that, just if you notice anything new that is seemingly being, it's been pretty successful in your putter fittings with Quintech. Anything in particular with a model or a series, or has it kind of just been? It's so player dependent that there's not one that jumps out.
Some of Scotty's new the larger blades where he's moved the center of gravity back a little bit. Can't think of the numbers offhand, but some of those new, the one where it's silver, black, and
kind of square back, yeah.
Yeah, kind of square backs where they made them a little bigger. Those are definitely for the blade putters have given a little bit more forgiveness for sure. I've seen those working well. The new Odyssey line, the AI milled one, the silver ones for sure. Great look, especially that 7 with a plumber's neck. I mean, if you're a blade guy and don't want to go all the way to a mallet, and some of that too with that 7, people don't realize if you look at center of gravity, okay, a blade putter is going to be right around the back of the top line. And then you go maybe to a mini mallet, it moves a little farther back, and then a full mallet moves farther back even more. I mean, that's why the moment of inertia goes up. Mm-hmm. But the problem is if I have a little tendency to do this, that big mallet, that center of gravity wants to do that anyway, and it hurts some people. So if you get a kind of a winged blade, it really works pretty good. The Ping Tine, another great model like that, because it keeps the center of gravity forward and gives that player a little bit more forgiveness. Yeah. So those are very popular
Interesting.
models.
I didn't even think about that as it relates to the center of gravity, but it makes sense the way you described it there. We're just having the alteration of the center of gravity being back can actually hurt players if they have that tendency. So
that's why I do. That's
why you do what you do.
That's why I do what I do.
Okay,
but people don't realize it. All they read is, well, this has toe hang, this has zero torque, this has this. They don't even consider the center of gravity of the putter, what the center of gravity of the putter does to their stroke or does to their tendencies.
Right.
For sure.
Speaking, you mentioned zero torque. It's,
sure,
we'll
why
bring
not?
It up.
Never heard about it till this morning.
So I just need to get your take on it, and I ask because I think it's clearly growing in popularity. These designs, You're seeing something new from all these manufacturers now.
Right.
You're seeing prototypes leaking out from manufacturers that don't have even a model that's out there for the public. So, what I guess if a golfer what would they be struggling with for them to see benefits from this design?
They would be struggling with their path.
Okay.
So I have seen some people that are poor putters that have grabbed zero torque, and it has definitely cut their side spin down. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially the L.A.B putters sets your hands forward, where most people, bad putters, tend to set their hands back, and their hands kind of migrate through the putting stroke, and they have trouble controlling the face. So that has helped. I have seen good putters come in and want zero torque that have beautiful putting strokes that have a lot of arc to it, and zero torque really doesn't work very well for them. The putter tends to, because it doesn't rotate very much, it stays square, it really doesn't help their putting stroke, and then you're going to have to change your putting stroke to use it. So from my standpoint, it's like any other golf club. It works for some people.
Right.
It doesn't work for other people. L.A.B has done a wonderful job of marketing it, bringing, this stuff has been around for a while. I mean, this is not...
The concept has, yes.
Yeah, the concept's been around for a long time. They've marketed it, done a wonderful job bringing it out. It's definitely, like I said, it's helped some people. Other people, they'll sit there and, to me, if you're coming in for a putter fitting and you're not a good putter, the number one thing I want you to walk in the bay with is with an open mind. Okay, if you're just like, well, fit me to a L.A.B, okay, well, I'm going to fit you to a L.A.B, but it might not be the best putter for you.
Yeah.
You know, an Odyssey Jailbird might be better. Scotty Cameron Blade might be better. Don't walk in there and just go because you've read everything and you don't know anything about your putting stroke. You know,
Right.
So you've got to walk in. You got to walk in with an open mind, going, okay, I want to try this. I want to try that. This is what I'd like. Okay, but here's what I'd like you to try based on what I see with your putting stroke.
Right, because there was I have seen this went around to social media yesterday, but it was in regards to the players in the top 25 of the world rankings. None of them have a L.A.B.
Yeah.
And so I think it speaks to your point there about if someone is putting really well, whether they have a strong arc or maybe it's a slight arc, but if they're putting well, and if they already have a good motion with their putting stroke, the L.A.B kind of just brings it to this point where it tries to get you straight through, and it keeps it square. Whereas, for years and decades and centuries, people have putted with a little bit of an arc in their putting stroke up.
Yeah, I mean,
or a lot of people have.
Rocco came in a year and a half ago with, and he draws everything. I mean,
I know.
He draws his putts. I mean, he consistently 10 to 12 RPMs of draw spin on the Quintet. He brought in some L.A.B top, and it totally changed. He went from draw spin to cut spin.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my gosh, I'll have to read greens differently.
Right.
That'll change the way I roll the golf ball. It'll change my entire putting game. He asked me, and he goes, "What do you think?" I go, "Garage." Put him in the garage. Because that. But that's to your point that okay, the best players in the world. You watched the last round of the Masters, which was great to watch. You didn't see a L.A.B putter in the last round of the Masters.
Right.
Okay, so again, the people that are putting well, and I don't care if you're a PGA Tour player or a 25 handicapper. I mean, there's one thing, if there's one thing in this game that a 25 handicapper can do as well as a tour player, is they can putt, because it doesn't take any physical strength. All it does is take
put in enough time. You
put
in theory,
enough time in with the right
you probably
stroke
wouldn't be a
and the
25
right
handicap
and the
anymore,
right putter.
but-
You can low. I mean, it's the easiest way to lower your handicap.
Right. Yeah, for
is
sure.
to become a better putter. So you look at it from that standpoint. To me, the one thing that the L.A.B putter does, most of the people that are successful at the L.A.B putter have been the ones that are using broomsticks. Well, why? Because there's less rotation of the face.
Yep.
Okay, you're not really trying to rotate it. The putter's up pretty close. You're trying to get
straight up.
It's almost straight up.
Yep.
You're trying to get zero rotation. Well,
That's as close as a pendulum. That
yeah,
you can really
and there's
get.
a perfect example why that would work, because it's going to work better with a long putter.
Yeah.
So
well, it's been fascinating to see that take off, but nonetheless, it's been good to get your perspective on some of these trends this year. We talked about drivers, talked about mini drivers, and then putters. And I think it is important to kind of just let people know if you're putting with something that works, or you have you're used to having such an arced putting stroke. Maybe find something with a little bit of toe hang, or something that promotes that arc or fits that arc versus going right to L.A.B. So just have that open mind, I guess, to your point.
Yeah, well, and the thing is too, I think it's great that hey, if I'm putting well, a lot of times people set up fittings just because they're not doing well. Well, hey, set up a fitting sometime, and you know us, we're pretty good about maybe not charging you for a fitting or whatever. Just if I got a good customer and he's putting really well, hey, let's run over the Quintet. We finish your driver fitting. Let's hit 3 or 4 putts. Let's see what your numbers are.
Yeah, bring your bag in for a
bring
fitting.
your bag in. Get a reference. Get a reference to what's going on.
Yep.
Hey, I'm rolling it really good. I want to see what my numbers are. Perfect.
Yeah.
I got a guy driving the ball great that's coming in this afternoon. And he's like, we're going to try a few things, but he's like, I really want to see what my numbers are right now, because I'm driving it as good as I've ever driven it. We did a driver last fall, and he's like, man, this thing is just great.
Yeah.
And he goes, I want to see my numbers. Maybe we'll mess around with shafts a little bit, but at the end of the day, you want to know what you're doing when things are going good.
Yeah. So take notes from Larry and from that customer. Go get fit, and when you do go get fit, bring your whole bag because depending on how the fitting goes, there might be time to hit some putts or try something else or just to see what's going on with your game. So,
absolutely.
So Larry, thanks for stopping by, swinging by, and talking about some fitting trends that you've seen this year.
You're very welcome.